This was not no warning for this or anything like this. I should have started this a while ago, but I was talking to my lady and the conversation kind of went on and it was a good convo. And yeah, I should have been on the road a very long time ago. Let's do our intros. Where's my manners? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Let them eat cake. So for those of you that don't know, and I'll put it in the description box after this, I shared a video of TYT speaking on men in the manosphere, the general manosphere, not specifically the black manosphere. I don't feel the need to defend the general manosphere. White men could have their own conversations and do their own defending. But the commentary was very interesting because, essentially what we found here was that, these men continue to do the whole, well, the problem is y'all want to still be men from back in the day and be old and sloppy and whatever and be losers, and then women still got to deal with you because they needed you to survive. And that's the problem. You're mad that you can't level up. You refuse to level up. And I say to those men, and if those men don't want to, fine, let those women eat cake. Y'all know what I mean by eat cake, right? See, what's going to happen, this is my prediction. What's going to happen are women are going to fight for the top 20% more and more. That's the women that actually realize how serious the game is. The smart ones will still fight for the top 20%, at least the top third, at most the top third. And these are the ones that understand how real the game is right now, right? The other ones, because of their pride and their ego, won't. They'll just stay perpetually single, and they will be the sexual playthings for the top 20% guy, right? Now, all the rest of them will just be single. That's my prediction. They will either be eating the cake or perpetually single. Why am I saying this? We are doing entirely way too much virtue signaling towards women. We're not being honest about the landscape, the economic landscape. We're not being honest with the women that they still have insane ideas that they call standards, delusions that they call standards for men. And men like you guys exacerbate that. We're not being honest. And then your daughters come out here in the real world and get scalped because most men don't think that most men are crap. But some of you virtue signaling losers do. And then your daughters come out here and the math ain't math and they're playing musical chairs with their dating and intimacy life. Shout out to all those women that are finding themselves well into their 30s and 40s. Ain't never been married, no kids, no prospects. And stubborn as hell. Whether they're dating interracially or not. Right? Whether they are dating interracially or not. Right? So I'm watching this TYT clip, and I shared it with you guys in my community tab, and now it's time to talk about it. So the young man, the light skinned dude, essentially said what I said he said. The problem is you want to be fat and sloppy and you don't want to wash your rear end and you just want to be a loser and then just get a woman anyway because you don't want to level up and you don't want to go seek therapy and you don't want to seek this you don't want to be emotionally intelligent. He didn't say that, but still, first of all, once again, this emotional intelligence stuff, this is the one thing that's enraging. As a black man that grew around black women and other women, we need to stop lying about the fact that women are somehow more emotionally intelligent. They can emote, they can speak better than their male counterparts. Sometimes yes, a lot of times no. When these women say that, what they're really saying is, why can't you speak and feel and think like me? And I'm so tired of us speaking like that's not what they're really saying. Why can't you emote the way I emote? Because I emote correctly. And then when you hear men regurgitate these BS notions of go to therapy and learn how to be emotionally intelligent, like the women, because the women are emotionally intelligent huh? Scores of women, they're emotionally intelligent, huh? No, they're not. No, they're not. And I can show you droves of men, regardless of race, that will tell you how ignorant their girlfriend, their mothers, their sisters, their aunts, their grandmothers are to anything that has to do with men and emotion. Y'all need to stop with that. See, the left is going to continue, and the right does it too. Y'all are going to continue to chastise your men because y'all have all bought in to this weird ass notion of hyper individuality. Yes, even on the left, we always chastise the political right for that and the social right for that, when a lot of lefties have bought into that crap also. And so y'all don't want to be honest about the environment. You don't want to be honest that y'all raised at least 2 to 3 generations of asshole women. And so you're going to continue to chastise your sons and say the problem is your sons want to go back to some 1950s relationship model. First, that's debatable. Secondly, let's say they do. And guess what that means for your daughters? They don't have to adhere to that. I'm actually okay with them not adhering to that. I really mean it. Right? But this puts your daughters in a very interesting position because you haven't done that great of a, apparently you haven't done the job you think you should, you've done, socializing the men to think differently about women and intimacy and relationships. You haven't even really done a good job at socializing the women. The women are worse, honestly, if you want to have that conversation. But okay, fine. Now you have to deal with the other side of telling your daughters that their brothers ain't ish. You have to deal with the other side of that now. And so now you continue to tell the young men that their issue is that they want to go back to some old, decades old relationship model that's just not coming back. Fine, it's not coming back. Then get prepared to not have grandchildren. Be prepared to watch your daughters enter relationships where they eat a whole lot of cake. Right? If men are not on women's level in mass, then fine, let women end up with other women or be, I don't know, side chick number 6 for the top 20% guys. I keep on stressing this because I like saying it. Fine, let's go by your own standards. Men ain't ish, men are not on women's level, women have done all the work. Fine, women have done all the work, let women end up with other women. Fine then. Fine then. Let women eat cake. Now, I don't think that all women think like this. Whether it's most, that's debatable. But all these virtue signaling men and other women are going to have women eating a whole lot of cake. As evidenced by that marriage rate. Ugh. Right? As evidenced by that childbirth rate right now. Ugh. See, all you virtue signaling, placating, pandering men are just sending your daughters out here to be scalped. They're going to be the bust down for the top 20% dude. White, black, Latino, Asian, or otherwise. By the way, those dudes are going to cheat on your daughters. Let me say that again. Those dudes are going to cheat on your daughters as they should. I got all these women chasing after me because of my money and my status, and because they've been told that 80 men that is part of that top 20% is worth it. Yeah. Relationship or not, I'm piping everything. Especially if I've been told that I'm nothing but a walking wall and an overglorified guard dog. Yeah, of course. Including by the women, not just by the men. Let me stress that again, right? Because we keep on lying to ourselves in this society, making it seem it's the men telling other men that you need to be these alpha men all the time, and the women aren't. Stop it. Right? So now TYT is getting in the game of chastising the men and the boys. Let's see how well that lasts. Let's see how good. Let's see how this looks in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So college enrollment is now a 60-40 split, women to men. Right? And now you decide to chastise the men and the boys. I don't think this is going to age very well. Right? Right? So y'all are saying all of these things, cool, fine, TYT. So all of a sudden, it's interesting when you hear people speak. Now, let me talk to the lefties real quick. It's interesting that we can understand all of these societal issues and we can put the puzzle pieces together and we can show the straight through line of the dominoes falling, right? You flick this domino and it hits that domino and then it hits that domino and then it hits that domino and then it hits that domino and that domino and all the dominoes fall. One by one, just da-da-da-da-da, right? But all of a sudden when we're talking about the men and the boys, everybody starts scratching their head and nobody can figure out what's going on. Interesting. All of a sudden, nobody knows what a society is anymore. Nobody understands how policy affects these things anymore. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So now TYT, and yes, it was in the main channel of TYT, it was TYT Rebel, whatever, HQ or whatever. So now TYT is getting in the game of telling the men, by the way, your real issue is that you're seeing this the wrong way. And the real issue is that you don't want to wash your ass and you don't want to level up and you don't want to, make yourself physically better, emotionally better, mentally better. And this has nothing, once again, nothing, one more time, nothing to do with the women. Alrighty then. Let's talk about this. The reason why I speak the way I do is because we don't live in a vacuum. Your sons are not making these things up. They're not making up their experiences. They're not making up how women are interacting with them and girls are interacting with them. They are not making that up, and they are showing you that through their actions. But we have so thoroughly ingrained ourselves with the concept that our daughters, the girls, the women are better than their male counterparts. Flat out better. They're harder working, they're more intelligent, they're more disciplined, right? They're nicer people, they're more caring. Your daughters are flat better than your sons. We have so thoroughly ingrained our society with that notion that even when your sons are showing you through their actions the repercussions of decades of that way of thinking, especially in the Black community, y'all refuse to acknowledge what the issues are. When you see this reflected not just with Black boys and men, which no one ever cared about, but now with even white boys and men, we refuse to acknowledge it. Why is it so difficult to admit that many of you raised asshole daughters, asshole women? Why is it so hard to believe? Okay, let me get this right. So your sons are immature, they're childish, right? They're undisciplined. All the pejoratives and the negatives. They're sexist, they're misogynist, they're homophobic, transphobic. Okay, cool. And your daughters are what? Speak to me, TYT. And your daughters are what? Would it say sugar and spice and everything nice? Right? And decades of that type of thought process has gotten your children to where? right? Decades of thinking and feeling that have got. Where's your society with decades of that? Right? It's not looking good. TYT is now getting into the conversation of the Manosphere. Why is it? Because the Manosphere is kind of messing with y'all money, maybe, right? Is it maybe the money, or is it maybe y'all don't really know how to address the issues of boys and men? Y'all don't really know how to address the issues of how many young men and boys are being suspended in school because the female teachers do not know how to teach boys and men, and the boys and men, the men that the would-be teachers that are men refuse to be in an environment where they're essentially told to raise the boys and men, raise the boys to men like women. Let me say that clearer. The boys and men are having a hard time. Say it one more time, because I'm getting my words all type of messed up. The boys are having a hard time in primary school because the women teachers don't know how to teach boys. Cool. The would-be male teachers refuse to be in the environments that are this gynocratic and this matriarchal. Which is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because what ends up happening is that you have even more women teaching boys and failing to teach those boys properly. Those boys don't value education, and definitely don't value education taught in a very right? And then we end up here, where once again, your boys aren't dropping out of the workforce if they're even trying to work in the first place. And our entire society, instead of really investigating that, is finding some way to blame the boys. Why? Because you got a couple of wayward boys and men saying some, insane things in classrooms. Oh wait, I forgot. The boys and the men could be sexist, but not the girls, not the women. The girls and the women, oh no, they're not sexist. No, not misandrous. Absolutely not. Rest in peace, Kevin. Put a microphone in front of their face and see if that's true or not. Put a microphone in front of their face and see whether that's true or not. Right? I want everybody that's listening to understand this was never supposed to happen. It was definitely not supposed to happen this early. Boys and men were never supposed to really realize how so many women see us. And we've had different men and even some women put microphones in front of young women and older women, not girls, obviously, not under 18, but they've put microphones in women's faces, and the entire society said, God damn, we didn't want the men to hear it from the horse's mouth. We didn't want the men to actually hear women talking about them like dogs. We didn't actually want the women to hear, we didn't want the men to hear what women really think about them. What women really feel about them. How women really see them. Y'all hear me say walking while in an overglorified guard dog all the time. I'm not joking. And I think what sucks, and this is like, as a lefty, this is one of the biggest issues with left-leaning politics, is they refuse to acknowledge how hypocritical the women are. And sociologists see it, and they're like, it's like a child trying to tap you on the shoulder to show you like the impending doom behind you, and you continue to ignore that child. The sociologists are like, and some of the hardcore real feminists are like, look behind us. These men actually have a point. Look at the women and the girls. Look how they're talking about the men. These men might actually have a point. And our entire society is like, yeah, no, shut up. I'm on the phone. Right? The left refuses to acknowledge that your daughters are not truly asking for equality. Forget what they're saying. Look at their actions. Look at the number one reason for divorce in America and who's filing for it. Put a microphone in your daughters' faces and don't coach them to give you a particular answer and then start asking them about men. So you can see how hypocritical they sound, how sexist they sound, how misandrist they sound. Yes, even your left-leaning daughters. Even FD Signifier had to concede the point. Now, he did it in a really slick way by saying, these women call themselves feminists. No, they are. That's not smart. You parked on the train tracks. Not smart at all. Right? Car behind me, you guys. Car behind me. Your sons sound the way they do because they're interacting with your daughters. And you refuse to acknowledge that it's not coming out of a vacuum, and it's not because they're just consuming nothing but Manosphere talking points. No, your sons are interacting with your daughters, your asshole daughters that you raised to be assholes. Your mean, rude daughters that you raised to be mean and rude, and who get off on being mean and rude to boys and men because they think it's some type of cosmic justice and cosmic payback. I know of which I speak. I know I'm being really on the nose and there's people that's listening to me and it's grating on them. It's like, no, I don't think it's that. No, it is that. I don't think it's that. No, it is that. You raise your daughters that for millennia men ain't ish. Men just beat women up, backhanded them, and drugged them to some cave to do what they wanted to do with them. And now your daughters speak to your sons insanely. They're doing foodie calls on dates. They're loud talking your sons. They're being dismissive of your sons. They're belittling your sons. And they're getting off on doing it. Look at that marriage rate, bro. Come on, if we're gonna have an honest conversation to the men that were part of that TYT clip, that were essentially saying the men don't want to level up. The problem is the women are doing so much better than the men. The men don't want to level up. They don't want to see that it's something wrong with them. You're regurgitating the talking points of women. Cool, fine. Let's see how that looks in 15, 20 years. I'm willing to put money. I'm not joking. I'm willing to put money. I'm not joking about the putting money part. That the divorce rate stabilizes because they're not getting married. I'm willing to put money that in a decade that divorce rate stabilizes because they're not getting married to get divorced in the first place. That childbirth rate continues to plummet through the damn floor. And that more and more of your women, especially your black women, eat more cake. Giggity. I'm willing to put money on it. Once again, I'm not joking on putting the money. To any one of you guys on the TYT clip. You don't want to be honest about the landscape. Yeah, let's say your sons ain't ish. Okay, cool. And your daughters are? So how is it that we have masses of boys and men that ain't ish, but the women and the girls are just killing it? Somehow, magically, the boys and the men don't take education seriously. They're undisciplined. They're uncouth. They're sexist, misogynist pigs. But your daughters, on the other hand, are just killing the game, right? What this is, they're being stupid, Z. Society failing with them, all double standards and contradictions. Numbers show the decline. They'll be complaining in a decade. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. They're low-key complaining now. They're still in the mode of chastising the men to do something. Why would I overexert myself? Why would I overproduce if I don't have a girlfriend or a wife or don't have children? Why? For society and taxes? Yeah, screw that. Screw that. Especially women are telling you more and more they don't value you anyway, even if you're overproducing and they're eating off of it. Yeah, screw that. If the women been telling me for the better part of 3 decades throughout my life that they don't need me, they barely want me, especially if I'm an average dude, average height, average looks, average money, but I still overproduce, I make more than her, I do more than her, my job's more dangerous than hers. Why would I overproduce? Why would I overextend myself just to be told that I'm average at best? See, everybody's stuck on Kevin Samuels telling the woman that she's average at best. This entire society has been telling the masses of men that they average at best for decades. So yeah, these people, I agree with you, brother. Yeah, they're going to be complaining in a decade. They're low-key complaining now. Nah, tell your daughters to go eat cake. Let's put what they're saying to the test. Y'all keep on saying y'all gender fluid and y'all sexually fluid. Go do it then. Right? Tell your daughters to eat cake, bro. If the masses of men, if some 70, 75, 80% of boys and men are not worth it, women are just so much better than their male counterparts, their men counterparts, fine then. Okay, fine. For argument's sake, I agree. Then your daughters need to end up with somebody else's daughter then. Right? Your daughters need to end up with some, fine then. Because if this is, once again, we're black, we're in the black manosphere, we focus on black issues, black men. But if not, this is bigger than just black men. Boys and men in general are just lacking. They're just not trying hard enough. They're losers. They're sexist. They're spreading their sexism all through classrooms and all over academia and all over the media. And they're just horrible. And then there's a handful of virtue signaling men that get it. And some LGBTQ men that get it. Fine. Let the women end up with one of you or one of the guys in the top 20%. And the rest of them that don't, then I guess they'll be the side chick to one of the guys in the top 20%. Right? Or they'll get married and then get divorced. I'm going through the list. Or they'll eat cake. But what the data shows is that heterosexual women really ain't trying to deal with everybody else outside of heterosexual men. So I guess for the most part, these women are going to be side chick to the top 20%. I'm not joking. I'm not being hyperbolic. I am not joking. Y'all are virtue signaling way too hard. You're sending your daughters out here to get scalped. And don't get it misconstrued. That is what's going to happen. You're sending your daughters out here to get scalped. To be the +2, +3, +5 for somebody with some real money. To be the mistress of one of these guys. or to be perpetually single. And we already see your daughters crying all over the internet because they've been single for years. Right? Y'all are the ones that keep on telling, don't settle, don't settle, don't settle. Yeah, that sounds nice, but the math ain't mathing. The numbers ain't looking good. Regardless of race, the numbers ain't looking good. See, when I said months ago now, I hope these women are getting their boxing gloves and boxing shoes ready to fight for the top 20%, man, maybe the top third at most. I meant it. And I wasn't pulling that out of my rear end. That is what these women want, and I think that's okay. That might not even be a bad thing. The top 20% being the gold standard, that's been a thing throughout human history, definitely within the past, century or so. Nothing wrong with that. But if I don't get that, I'd rather be single, fine. Now that is a little bit more recent. If I don't get that, I'd rather be single, fine then. Be single. Or eat cake. Like I said, it sounds hyperbolic now. I assure you it's not. Mr. Z, what degree do you have? What accomplishments do you have for you to be making these predictions? I'm watching and reading all the things that point to one direction. If you haven't done for your men and your boys for the better part of 5 decades, for black men, you've never done. Right? You haven't done for your boys and your men for the better part of 5 decades. Okay, that's cool. You didn't socialize your women to truly be down for egalitarian relationship. You've done lip service to it, and you really ain't socialized them for it. Now, 2-3 generations later, your daughters are coming out here with okay money, okay status, and then they're still demanding that your sons be even of a higher status than them. By the way, that's the part y'all keep on ignoring, especially on the political left. The hypergamy part of women, and that it scales up infinitely. Y'all refuse to acknowledge that because y'all don't want to sound sexist. Everybody on the left doesn't want to sound sexist, and they don't think, I'm telling y'all, listen. There are people on the left that know what I know too. They know what I know too, right? They know that this thing cannot scale up forever, and they know we've probably reached the cap of that. And women being in the workforce, women having their own education, women having their own money, has made them put the bar to the moon. And we can only chastise the men for so long. They're just afraid of saying it out loud. That's why in the Manosphere, and definitely even in the Black Manosphere, it's left and right politically. Men, right? Now, we might have different answers for this, but we all see the same issues and problems. We all see the same issues and problems. This thing can't scale up forever, number one. Number two, TYT, for those of you that don't know, TYT stands for the Young Turks. I've literally been watching them since the beginning, since it was only Anna, JR, and Sync, right? When they were way back, like 3-4 studios ago, right? When I think they were in some warehouse somewhere. I've been watching TYT from the beginning. Before it was huge, before it paused, before any of that. Right? And every once in a while, TYT will talk about the decline in marriage, right? The decline in the birth rate, all of these other things. And even Anna Kasparian, speaking to what I'm saying, on one of them, even Anna was like, essentially, women need to calm down a little bit, just a little bit, with these insane standards. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that's what she was saying. That was the sentiment. So for Anna to say that years ago, we're going to act like she don't know what she's talking about? It's gotten even worse since Anna Kasparian said that. It's gotten even worse. But we keep on acting like that's not a thing. So we keep on telling our sons, the problem is you're not living it up and you don't want to waste your assets. You don't want to take education seriously. That's the problem. You want to be a sloppy person. You don't know immersion and attentiveness. I think that's going to be my new mocking voice. That's going to be my new voice for mocking people. The problem is you don't want to take education seriously. You don't want to level up, right? So people see what the issue is, but we don't really know how to tell women, actually, we might have overdid this women empowerment stuff. We might have took it a bit too far, because now y'all are walking around here like crackheads, always looking for that. Always looking for men to kiss your ear in and placate you and tell you how other men ain't crap. We might have took that a little too far. Instead of us having that conversation, we continue to have the conversation of really the problem is the men and the boys. Really, there's some sexist monsters that really don't want to take life seriously, and they're undisciplined and they're uncouth. Right? That's the problem. So we're going to keep on doubling and tripling and quadrupling and quintupling down on that. And as example of what's going on right now in society, your son and your boys are saying, yeah, screw that. You know what? Let her go eat cake. Right? Let her go eat. Let her be side chick number 5 to Jay-Z. Let her be side chick number 7 to Diddy, or to Bill Gates, or to Elon Musk, excuse me. Right? Let that happen, or let her eat cake. Like I said, that marriage rate is going to continue to plummet. That birth rate is going to continue to plummet. The divorce rate is going to stabilize, like I said earlier, because you got to get married before you can get divorced. The economy, though, see, these virtue signaling men, you saw this with Steve Harvey on one of the clips where he was like, I'd never had no woman pay for me, nothing for me. These men are sorry. These you young men. Yeah, that sound cute. So you see Steve Harvey virtue signaling. You see these men on TYT virtue signaling. Right? Our entire society's virtue signaling. That there's nothing wrong with that. Just deal with the consequences of it now. Right? Fine. Continue to virtue signal. Nothing wrong with it. Just deal with the consequences. Y'all keep on lying to women. Y'all keep on blowing their heads up. Then they come out here in the real world, and the real world scalps them. If this is what intersectional feminism look like, I don't want no parts of it. Intersectional feminism looks like me chastising men for their experiences with women and girls. Playing down all of their experiences to some heartbreak. Telling them it's all in their mind. Their real issue is that they're misogynistic pigs. So what your daughters say about boys and men is legitimate. What your sons say about girls and women is all in their mind. They don't know how to deal with rejection. They had one simple heartbreak and now they're holding on to it for dear life. This is not sustainable. I think that's a phrase for me right now. All of this, the way we're speaking about boys, men, money, relationships, intimacy, marriage, childbearing, child rearing, this is not sustainable. That optimize yourself to infinity. It's not sustainable. Maybe this is what's coming with living on a planet with machines that you could literally optimize until infinity, is that we think we could do the same thing with human beings. Or we're just using the rhetoric of we can do it with human beings, even though we know that's really not a thing. I mean, don't we have sociologists speaking about the hypocrisy in women? What they say, because women virtue signal too. What they say they want, what they say they value in men, but when you actually put them on dating sites and see what they're swiping right on, or swiping left on, whichever one is the approval, and you see who they value and who they find attractive in our society, it's stereotypical white man stuff. So nobody wants to address that. No one wants to address the fact that when you actually put women's feet to the fire, or when you actually spy on them, or when you actually do research on what they're actually approving of, not what they're telling you they're okay with. What am I saying? Translation. And the bisexual men know this too. Women will tell you that they're open to pansexual this, and they're open to these type of relationships and those type of relationships, because that's the right thing to say, especially as a modern feminist woman. But then when you see what they're actually into, when you do the research, it's nothing like that. And we continue to pretend like that's all in our sons' imagination. The women that say they're okay with 50-50 and they just want a man to pull his weight, we think she actually means that. Right? GC said, what's the topic? We're speaking, damn, I didn't put the link in my description. In my community tab, GC, is a TYT clip that's about, it's less than 5 minutes long. It's like 4 minutes and some change long. And there's a couple of brothers, I've seen all of those men before. Except for the chubby white dude at the end, towards the end. I don't know if I've ever seen him, but the other brothers, I've definitely seen them before. And they're pretty much chastising men that's like using Manosphere talking points. And I'm not necessarily defending those young men, but I am saying that we're ignoring that these young men are having real experiences, and then they're not just regurgitating Manosphere talking points in a vacuum. We're playing down their experiences, and we're playing down that a lot of these people are raising or have raised asshole daughters. And when your sons are speaking about these things, and when your sons are describing these things, albeit maybe not articulate enough for your liking, that we're dismissing our sons, because what we're saying is that they're just being sexist, misogynistic monsters. And so the title of the title saying let them eat cake is me saying, fine, if the men are not good enough, then let the women eat cake. And hopefully you find the pun in what I'm saying. right? Let them eat cake. If your boys and your men are not good enough, because that means this generation is already lost. Young Xers, millennials, they're gone. Maybe even oldest Gen Z. So if they're not good enough for your daughters that are of age now, then let your daughters eat cake. What they say, how difficult it is, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Fine, millennials are too old. Younger Xers are definitely too old, and maybe some of the oldest of Gen Z are too old. I'm talking about the men, excuse me. So fine, then let your daughters eat cake then. Let them eat cake then. Or, like I said before, let them buy their boxing gloves and boxing shoes and go street fight for the top 20% or the top third of men. Definitely the top 20%. I wonder how y'all feel when you find out your daughter's the side chick to some dude in your city that has a little bit of money. Not that she's the girlfriend, but she's side chick number 3 or 4. I wonder how y'all feel when that happens. Because you and the rest of the society kept on telling your daughters that men ain't ish. And so when she meets a man that has a little bit of money, maybe some looks and some status, she's okay with being his side chick. She knowingly is okay with being his side chick. Right? So I don't really have too much to say about the larger manosphere. I think those guys could do their own defending and. But for the black manosphere specifically, black women specifically, oh no, let them eat cake. Let them go be a bust down to some white dude with some money. Fine. Let them eat cake. Let them go be a bust down for some white or Latino dude with some money. Whatever Asian dude they could get, which is like not a thing. Right? And just deal with the world how they need to deal with it. If men ain't ish, fine then. There's a consequence to continuously saying that, to constantly saying that. That's why I don't say that about women. Imagine me saying that to my subscriber. Most women ain't ish. These women that are now. I do go in on these women in this kind of level up, swirler divester space. Right? And I even try to describe kind of how they got to where they are. We're not even doing that with the boys and the men. We're just telling them that they're issues that they don't want to wipe their own ass. And the problem is that you're not taking these women seriously. You need to take education seriously. You need to wash your ass. You need to stop being fat and sloppy. Are some of those dudes fat and sloppy? Yeah. Is that the real issue? Probably not. I don't know how bad it has to get before we actually say, you know what? We might have overdid it with how we talk to our daughters about our sons. So let's continue watching the destruction of society, everyone. I want to know how bad it gets. I wonder, maybe one of these divestors got to end up on stage somewhere and say something really, really, really messed up. Or one of these like weirdo feminists got to be caught on stage saying something supremely sexist before they're finally like, oh crap. But anything short of that, they'll find a way to continue to defend it. Right? So yeah, I'm coming to a close, you guys. That is my issue with this, with TYT. So TYT has gotten into the conversation of the Manosphere, and they have put their hat in the ring by essentially saying these men's problems, and maybe that is the case for the white dudes, I don't know, but they have put their hat in the ring by saying the problem with these men and these boys is that they don't want to wash their ass and they don't want to level up and they don't have emotional intelligence and such and so forth. And I'm saying this is a way bigger problem than men in the Manosphere. Most men clearly are not in the Manosphere, but a lot of men, once again, not part of the Manosphere, are saying these same things, right? A lot of men, not part of the Manosphere, are saying these same things. They feel these same things, and we continue to ignore them. And we continue to play them down. We continue to tell them it's all in their head. All right, then. Let's see how that looks in a decade or two. I'm with the brother that said that, right? What the had a soul. Brother, it's always hard reading that name. Tell me if I'm saying it right. Right? I'm gonna look that up in a minute, bro. I didn't even actually know that was a thing. But yeah, so everyone, let me come to the close now. Y'all be careful out here. These people, I don't know what they got going. It's as if these people are living in a bubble. And that's very possible, right? You have your own echo chamber, because they keep on claiming that we're in echo chambers. And I wonder if they're not also in echo chambers. Right? Like they're regurgitating these things as if like these boys are not truly interacting with girls and women. That's the thing that's fascinating to me. Y'all are speaking like y'all are not interacting with girls and women who sound insane about men and boys. But maybe you just find a very interesting way of like justifying that or like explaining it away. Right? But then when it comes to the men, we have no room for that. Right? So I'll truly pause right here. All right, you guys, I just wanted to get this out. I know it was last minute. I didn't even share any link in the description or anything like that. I literally just turned this on because I watched the clip earlier. I shared it. Once again, the clip, I'm going to fix my description box and whatnot, but the clip currently is in my community tab. It's the most recent video in my community tab. Shout out to you, Toya. Yeah. Let them eat cake. And I got to do a stream. If I can, I got to do a stream with Toya and Kareen. So I could y'all could explain to me. I don't know, right? Because I think women are privy, obviously, to a different type of conversation with other women than men are, oftentimes. Like, what is going on with women and girls when y'all are like at brunch or whatever? Like when y'all talk about men, like what is that conversation like? Do they ever take accountability for anything or responsibility for anything? Do they ever talk about like their own sexism, their own hypocrisy? Do they ever talk about the workforce and like being in these offices and on school campuses and not seeing as many boys, men in that case, and like how that affects their dating market? I mean like women in general, and then black women specifically. Like, right, when y'all go on lunch with your white homegirls, do they ever like look at these things, or are they just living their lives and then getting hit upside the head with the reality of the numbers and then just like finding some way to turn that back on men being the problem? Right? I wonder. But yeah, I'm gonna try to schedule something like that. Toya, if you don't mind, do I have your email, Toya? I don't think so. If you don't mind putting your email in the comments, or you know what? I'll put my email and then you could email me, and then we'll try to figure that out, something out. I'm gonna try to get Kareen also, and like, yeah, because that's something I really want to kind of tease out, because I don't really know how this works. I really don't want to see the society disintegrate. I'm really trying to do my best on us not getting to social dystopia land, but it's looking harder and harder to do that, because so many people are like still stuck in some, the problem is the men, and the men are some sexist monsters, and the problem is the men don't want to level up, and the men don't want to be emotionally intelligent, and the men want to be sloppy, not washing their ass, and then they still think that women are supposed to accept them. That's the problem. That's the problem. And meh, right? The men don't want to go through therapy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the problem. All right. So I'll truly pause right there. I done said that like 3 times, but I truly got to pause right there, because guess what it looks like it's about to do right now in South Florida? Just guess. Welcome to South Florida, where it's always raining or hot. So, all right, y'all. I'll pause right there. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out.